Alright guys, Dave Genv here, aka Bad Boy Genv, aka Satan. I'm the devil himself, King David's. They had me in the Bible. I was in Israel, I was in ancient Rome as well. Jesus got crucified. And I'm here again. The Antichrist is here again, working for God in heaven. Keep telling you every week to put your money in Wisdomtree CRUD, linking your money to the price of crude oil. I tell you every week. Now, I think beginning of last week, they had a 6% dip on crude oil. So the Windsors, the British royals, who run the world, they do this. They'll have oil go up and then they'll have it dip down. But you can see this situation in the Middle East is continuing. You know, that one moment they'll have a story saying, "Oh, there's a build-up of oil stocks, oil supplies in the US," and then the next day they'll say, "Oh, oil supplies are depleted." It's all propaganda in the media. But we're on Google, Middle East, and it's all just kicking off in the Middle East, basically. It's all the pre-planned story by the British royals to explain away rising oil prices. That's why you need to have your money in Wisdomtree CRUD. That's where I've got my money. Wisdomtree BRNT as well, though you can't put your money into that anymore, I don't think, but check. There's a link, but Wisdomtree CRUD's the main one. You link your money to the price of crude oil, and it does look like that's, this situation in the Middle East is escalating a bit. The US, what's it saying here? Deploy B-52, US to deploy B-52 warships to Middle East. So the situation's escalated, and the British royals want the US to be the ones who look like the bad guy in all this eventually. They're going to be the ones to blame. Because, the US economy runs on crude oil, but then the whole world economy does. But it's the British Empire that really call the shots. And at the moment, as far as I'm aware, the one you've got in power is Harry Windsor. Prince Harry, that fairy boy bitch. You got him in power because King Charles, he's gone, and so's William. You'll see him in the media. You'll see like old footage presented in the media to look like it's brand new, but it's just propaganda. They're trying to cover it up. They always wanted to be the devil. They wanted to be the bad boy devils, and of course they're not. Now, something I said about the British Empire, they took over from the Romans because they were good at sailing, and that is true. I don't think the Romans would have ever been that good at sailing, but the bit that I was a bit confused about was, why did Rome not just have the British do the sailing for them, and like the British be like a sort of a subdivision of the Roman Empire? That, the British Empire just works for the Roman Empire, because remember, the Romans are the best at fighting. And I explained it away by saying, well, the popes, Rome went soft under the popes, and I think that is true. That is true. That Rome went soft under the popes, whereas earlier, going further back, Rome was always a hard state under the Roman emperors. So you'd think that Rome would just sort of say to the British royals, the Germanic British royals, and any other Germanic royal families in Europe, look, you're going to do the sailing for us, but you still work for us, right? Because if you fuck around with us, we'll come, we'll get over to the UK. So you only got to sail across the channel. So it's short distance, the English Channel. And we'll beat the shit out of you with our Roman psycho nutjob soldiers. But the reason that didn't happen, one, it went soft under the popes, as I've already said, but also the Greys, who've been your alien overlords, they didn't want the Romans in charge because the Greys were scared of the Romans. The Romans, to the Greys, were a bit too terrifying. They're there crucifying people, and the Romans really were like bully boys. But expand into new areas, expand the Roman Empire into a new area. They just use violence to take over the area and get everyone under their control. They're just the best fighters on the land. That's what they do. And the Greys, who are only small and weak, didn't think they could ever work with the Romans. Even though I'm Roman, then they are going to work with us eventually. Once I'm in charge, they will work with us. But we've got to be nice to them to get the best out of them, out of the Greys. You can't just beat them. Well, if you beat them up, they'll fucking die. They're so weak. So that's no good. You're not going to get any good technology out of them if you're there bullying them. You know what I mean? So we've got to be nice to them. But they were scared of working with the Romans because the Romans were such scary bully boys. So they actually tried with the Chinese first. So the Chinese civilization was actually further ahead than Europe, more advanced in a lot of areas. And the reason will have been the Greys helping them with their technology, because they wanted to work with the Chinese because they saw the Chinese as less threatening. Like, Chinese people tend to be a bit smaller. Chinese people, if you actually go on Google, you search on Google, you'll find out the best nation mathematically is the Chinese. In terms of maths, being good at maths. And the Greys will be good at maths. And they probably saw in the Chinese someone they could more easily work with and a bit of a kindred spirit. So the Chinese were the first to try and do sailing. But as it turned out, the Chinese weren't really big, scary and tough enough to conquer the whole world. The Greys needed to get the world, humanity under one banner. So what they had to do, they had to change their plans. China had to become isolationist, isolate itself from the world, and its technology stagnate, and it change over to seeing if the Germanic royal families could get it done, and through the British royals, because they were a bit bigger and tougher than the Chinese, and they did do the sailing and get the world conquered. Because you see, once you land in a foreign land, say you're on your sailing ship and you sail to another continent, right, there's people there like Native Americans, Aborigines, if you go to South America, Incas, there's people there that you're going to potentially get into conflict with. You are going to get into conflict with them. And the British Empire had to use violence, war, to conquer, and Africa as well, the Africans, to conquer those people. I don't think the Chinese could do it. I don't think they were good enough at fighting, a bit small. But that's who the Greys wanted to work with at first. But then they decided they had to change plan. So if you actually look into it, if you go on Google, you look into it, you'll find out Chinese were the first to try sailing. Their civilization was more advanced than anywhere else. But like I say, it was only because of the Greys. The Greys helping them out with their technology. Let's change. They had to change strategy though, but they weren't going to work with the Chinese. I'm not sure it would have worked with the Romans because I get motion sickness, terrible, really bad. I get on a boat, I feel fucking awful. I can't like fairground rides. I get, I'll go on a few, I'll have a good time, and then I'll start feeling sick. Go on the pirate ship, the pirate ship at the, theme park, that pirate ship. I always get, every time I get on that, I feel sick to my stomach afterwards. Can't do it. So I'd be no good as a sailor, and it's probably the same for other Romans. So it probably wouldn't work with the Romans anyway. They can sail across the Mediterranean and across the English Channel, but sailing across an ocean, it's a totally different ball game. The open ocean, somewhere like the Mediterranean, it's like a mill pond compared to like the Atlantic or Pacific Ocean. You know what I mean? So the Germanic British Royals had to do it, but now they don't want to accept that time's moved on. Now we've done the sailing. Now we need to go into space. I mean, they wanted to see King Charles and the British Royals. They've known that I'm probably King David from when I was a very young boy, from when I was born possibly, because I weren't like other reptilians. I don't have the green scaly look, and they've tried to hold me back my whole life. Tried to cause me no end of fucking grief in my life because they didn't want change. The British Royals like being in power. They like having power. Their Greys are their boss, although that's probably changed now. And the Greys are just in space. The British Royals can't do anything to get to them. But the British Royals didn't want change. They don't want to see the Romans under me come back into power, but that's how it has to be, because I've been offering out Harry Windsor and the Windsor family for punch up for fucking ages on this fucking phone, on this camera, on YouTube. I've got this phone here. I'm always running my mouth on that. I've been offering them out for fucking ages and ages and ages, and all they've tried to do instead is try to ignore me. Have a load of people call me on a no-caller ID. Like, that's their way of fighting a war game. Just call me on a no-caller ID. I just take the piss. I see all these no-caller IDs. Actually, look at them. There's loads of them. You see them all. You can see them. No-caller IDs, loads of them. They go on for. There's loads of them. They don't really know how to deal with me. Because I'm Satan, not many people want to come to fight me. They can't do it themselves. Harry Windsor, he's a fairy boy. King Charles, he's a fairy boy. But they don't want change. They want it to be the Windsors that stay in power. But like I say, God's plan was for me to come into power, the Romans to be back in charge again. And we work with the Greys, be nice to the Greys, treat them well, and work together towards, getting new Earths. You've got to fight for them. But yeah, that's the situation. Bit of a history lesson, I suppose. The Greys didn't want the Romans in charge, but the Greys are going to have the Romans in charge. And they'll accept that. All the Greys want is not to be treated badly by humanity, to be treated well. They're very useful to humanity because they're so smart, so we've got to treat them good. That's all they really want. How Harry Windsor is at the minute, I don't know. No idea. All that I see in the news, it's just old news. He's there with Meghan Markle. She's long dead. You know, she's long dead. She weren't there with him at the Kevin Costner music show recently. Where was she? She's fucking dead. You know, the story they've got in the media running at the minute with Harry and Meghan is that they're splitting up or something. They're potentially heading for a breaking up. Well, yeah, the reason they're saying that probably is because she's dead. You know, so, but they control the media. So everything you see in the media is just nonsense. But, like I say, Monkey Men, Wisdomtree, CRUD, you just have your money in that. Not a lot else you can do. And they'll have dips. Like I say, they had a dip just recently of 6%. And you think, oh no, but it's just temporary. The next day, because they control the media, the next day or the next couple of days, they'll have a story where suddenly things escalate again in the Middle East. It's like, oh, you know, it had this 6% dip because it was de-escalating. And then the next day, because they control the media, it's like, oh no, it's escalating again now. And then oil prices pick up again. Do you know what I mean? It's all just propaganda from the British Empire. That's all it is. But they're going to lose their power eventually because they're pussies. They won't come and fight me. They don't. Harry Windsor, when it's got to the situation where when you're in a war game as a royal family, like these royal families, Germanic royal families have war games to establish who's going to be the boss. And when and I'm in a war game with them now, and when I'm offering them out, you know, every day on my phone for a pawn shop, and every time I make a video on this GoPro, when I'm offering them out in this war game, so let's fight, let's duke it out, let's see who's the boss, and they continually, you know, pussy out, they continually bottle it, wimp out of it. That means they're going to lose their power, because in this universe, it's all about fighting. If you want to get new Earths, you have to be good at fighting. It's all about fighting in nature. Anything from a microbe to a lion, everything, you know, and everything in between is fighting through evolution, fighting each other to establish who top dog is. And I've shown it. They aren't willing to fight me, not really, not properly. They'll mess about my computer, they'll mess about my phone, they'll have no caller IDs, ring me, but they're not properly willing to war me face to face in a brawl. So that means they're going to lose their power eventually. I think they've already lost a fair bit of it, really. But maybe in a limbo, a transitionary phase. But Harry don't want to give up power till he's dead, so it's up to God in heaven to kill him off at the right time, whenever that is. Obviously, I just work for God in heaven. I just follow his plan. And after that, we can start progressing. Because humanity at the minute is stagnating. There's silly wars in the Middle East. You're still relying on fossil fuels to power your economy. This all needs to change. Yeah. So just have to keep on waiting. So looking on Google, here we see Chinese civilization ahead of Europe. Chinese civilization on the world stage was the real, absolute and unquestionable maximum of the Chinese civilization on the world stage was around the late 14th and early 15th century. Right. So that's where the Greys had tried with the Chinese, getting them ahead of everyone else, getting them doing these sailing ships. It wasn't going to work out with the Chinese in terms of conquering the world. So that's when they had to shift to the British royals, the British Germanic, Saxons. Now I'll show you something that shows you the difference between a Roman and a Saxon, right? So that shows what the what they're all about. A Roman, right? A classic Roman, is a very murderous man. the ancient Roman, and his weapon of choice is the Roman gladius, a dagger. It's a short sword, a big dagger, I suppose, right? Now the Germanic Saxons, their weapon of choice is a Saxon axe. So you've got the Roman gladius, and you've got the Saxon axe. That's Germanic Saxon axe. Now, really, there's a guy carrying one. Right, the Saxon axe. The Saxon axe is for chopping wood. Saxons good at chopping wood with their Saxon axes. Not very good for war though. The Roman gladius, right, that is for killing people. That's what the Roman soldiers would use. That's for doing killing. Saxon axe for chopping wood. And once you're good at chopping wood, you can use that wood to build sailing ships. So, Saxons are just wood choppers. Harry Windsor's proving it. He's a Saxon. He's a Saxon Germanic whatever. I call him a Germanic Saxon fairy boy. Where is he to fucking fight me? He don't want to fight a Roman because the Romans are all about killing, yeah? Beating the living shit out of people, terrifying them, battering them. The Saxons, they got their wood chopping axes, yeah? So it is. And, I mean, things like the fall of Constantinople, that was a Roman city. These things would have been ordered by the Greys, I think. You know, they tried to work with the Chinese up to the 14th and early 15th century. It weren't working out. And like I say, that's when Henry VIII started the Royal Navy, the English Royal Navy, which then became the British Royal Navy. They had to change the Saxons to do it. Not that they were, I mean, they were better than fight. They obviously must have been better at fighting and conquering than the Chinese. The Chinese, you think a Chinese guy lands in Africa or he lands in North America on a sailing boat? He was a small dude, short guy. You know what I mean? He's up against it because the African dude's taller and bigger, and the you know, so's the North American. You know, it's going to be tough. Little small guys, so that does play a part in fighting. You know, if you're just bigger and heavier, you know, it plays a big part in fighting. That does. So. They just weren't up for it. So hopefully you can understand that. That's what happens. Chinese, and so after that, what happened? After that, when it got to the 15th century, the aliens said, yeah, you've got to go isolationist now. Your society has to now isolate itself. The Chinese society, from the 15th century, isolated itself. I think, why did they do that? Probably so they wouldn't advance further. Their technology wouldn't, because by that point they were backing the British royals, the Saxons, to do the conquering. Didn't want the Romans doing it. Romans too scary for the Greys. Didn't want the Romans in charge. Have these Saxons doing it. So they told China to isolate itself so its technology wouldn't advance any further. So then the British royals would be able to easily conquer them. Understand? Because if their technology advanced further, then the British Empire wouldn't have been able to do that. So that's how that's gone down. Hopefully that fully explains it to you. Moving on to the next topic now. What we're talking about now is the evolution of monkeys. So I've already shown you how you've got these reptilians. My parents are reptilian. They're lizard people. They're actually green scaly lizards, but they've got this camouflage like a chameleon, but makes them look like a human, but they're actually reptilian. I've shown you how, and I've shown you again and again. Lizard people are real. Sometimes when they're under pressure, you'll see the camouflage slip if you've got a slow-mo camera. I've shown you that again and again. Well, monkeys might be interested. If reptilians have evolved from lizards, from reptiles, which they have, what have monkeys evolved from? Monkeys have evolved, I'm pretty certain, from spiders. You see this spider, it's black, it's furry, that's a tarantula. And then this is a spider monkey. They're actually called spider monkeys. They call them spider monkeys because they look like spiders. You see its black eyes. This is the eyes of a tarantula. It's got multiple eyes, but you see these two big eyes. Kind of look a bit like the spider monkey's eyes. If you get chimpanzee, put chimpanzee. There's pictures of chimpanzees in the wild. You know, they kind of look like big spiders. You see that, and then where's the picture of the spider? You see that, and you see those. Kind of the same. You know, these spiders. These tarantulas, you know, they'll spend a lot of time in the trees, these jungles, these big tarantulas. They're black, you know, you got a tarantula's furry, big and black. Big, where's the picture again? That one. Black, furry. Chimpanzee, the same. So, you know, to the monkey men, it might be a bit shocking that these reptilians, these lizard people that have got this camouflage, and they might think that's a bit gross that they're lizards. But monkeys, pretty sure they're evolved from spiders. Spiders are a bit gross, aren't they? So, you know, just is what it is. I mean, Britney Spears is a lizard. She's a reptilian, green scaly lizard. She's nice, you know. She writes nice songs. Actually, I got her Instagram. I'm a big fan of her. You know, there's Britney on her Instagram. Green scaly lizard, but so what? I mean, if you're evolved, monkey men are evolved from spiders. That you've evolved in, you know, into monkey men. I mean, those are chimps, but you know what I mean. Monkey men have evolved from this. Pretty certain. So, basically what I'm saying to the monkey men, don't look down at the lizard people because they're evolved from lizards, because you're evolved from spiders, I'm pretty certain. Spiders are gross, lizards are gross. It's just how it is. I know a spider's got multiple eyes. You'll probably say, are you sure they're spiders? Because a spider has like 8 eyes. But that's only because a spider's got a shit brain. Got a shit brain. I mean, lizards ain't got a great brain either, but spiders got a shit brain. It has to have multiple eyes to try and they still haven't got good eyesight, apparently. Spiders apparently have bad eyesight. If you put into Google, spiders, bad eyesight. Because you need to have good eyesight. Yeah, spider vision, spider bad eyesight. Most spider eyes can detect little more than brightness and motion. So vision plays only a minor role in behaviour. Well, I'm not actually sure. I mean, that it might be true, it might be wrong. I don't know, but yes, supposedly spiders don't have the best eyesight, even though they've got 8 eyes. They've got a tiny little brain, I suppose. They've got much going on inside of them, inside their head, to have, you know, really good vision. Although I suppose you get hawks, birds, owls and stuff, they have good vision, don't they? So it depends on the animal. So you might say a spider's got eight eyes, but yeah, I think as spiders have evolved into primates, and the brain's got larger, they haven't needed these extra eyes, so it's gone down to 2 eyes. So I think some spiders have 2 eyes anyway, but you can definitely see the similarity. That's a tarantula's eyes. It's got its two big eyes there, and it's got these other smaller eyes. I can see the similarity between that and the spider monkey's eyes. You know what I mean? So there you go, that's a baby spider monkey. So there you go. And I think supposedly I'm supposed to be the link between spider and lizard, spider and reptile, to try and make these hybrids that can interbreed with both, so that you can merge, you know, monkey men and reptilian can sort of merge into, gradually over time, merge to one species. I think that's what's supposed to happen. So yeah, so that might be of interest to people, to the monkey men, and to the reptilians. Yeah. So there you go. Now, last week we talked about mental illness, talked about schizophrenia, and how I came up with what I think is a possible treatment for it, which is smacking your forehead off a table, off a small table like that, very hard, to try to get control of this voice inside your head, schizophrenic voice. Another treatment idea I've had is for a different kind of mental illness, depression. That possibly, smacking your head off a table might help with depression, but I think that the better treatment for depression is this. So I'm going to show you a picture now. It's a starving girl in Africa, I think abandoned by her parents, with a vulture behind her. You just go on Google, you put on Google Images, girl with the vulture. This is African child, starving vulture behind her. What I do if I ever have depressive thoughts, feel a bit down, depressed, is I think of that image. It's a trick I play on my mind to always make me think, at least I'm not that girl with the vulture. That's terrible. That picture's such an upsetting picture. It's really upsetting that this little girl's been abandoned by everyone and left to starve because her parents can't feed her. And, you know, there's this vulture waiting to pick at her remains after she dies. You know, it's very, very sad. And so whenever I get a depressed feeling, I start feeling sorry for myself, start being a little bitch and feeling sorry for myself, all I have to do is think of that image and think, well, what am I feeling sad about? Why am I feeling sorry for myself? That's, I think, a good treatment for depression. You got a lot of people in the West have no reason to feel sorry for themselves because they have food in their stomach. They're not starving to death like that. Under this great reset, though, that might actually change. But I want to change. You know, U-turn on it. You know, I want to avert it. I'm working for God in heaven. God doesn't want to see people starving to death. God doesn't want to see that little girl there with, you know, starving with the vulture. You see it. Very sad image. So yeah, that could be a good treatment for depression for people. If you get them, you know, sad thoughts, depressive thoughts, start feeling sorry for yourself. Think that image and think, at least that's not me. And your spirits might lift. And you know, because people use medication, they use pills, antidepressants, but that's just masking the problem. It's a bit like antipsychotic drugs with schizophrenia. Using antipsychotic pills, it's just masking the problem. It's not really dealing with it. You know what I mean? So, hopefully that might help some people with depression. Begin to get control of it and realise things aren't really that bad for them. Certainly not as bad as they are for that little girl. So there you go. That's the end of the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.